Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Agree to Disagree. I am your host this week, Aidan Chard. Alongside me is Dean Gutic, Noah Schwartz, and Jack Asello. How's everybody doing?
Very
Yo, what's up?
How's finals week going for everybody so far?
Two
Very
more
good.
days and we're done.
Got so
close.
much done today. By night's end, I'll be finished with all my production classes.
That is
Be
good.
done by Wednesday.
I still got until the 19th. I have like a late schedule.
How?
But,
Finals have to be done by the 18th.
Yeah, I thought
Making
finals
it-
were done by the 18th.
one of mine is my professor has it due on the 19th.
Huh.
It's like it's a
Interesting.
paper. I don't know.
Wow.
I was confused too because it's a Saturday. But let's get into sports. It's been an eventful week in sports, for good and for bad.
We want to go,
so
baby. We want to go.
We're going to start off with some NFL Week 14 talk. There were some big games there. We're going to talk a little bit about a potential name change, not the Washington football team, but another team that could become the baseball team. We don't know. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the NBA Top 100 list that has been coming out recently. Our breakdowns, our thoughts, who we thought should be higher, who we thought should be lower. We'll get into that later. But let's start by talking about the NFL. And Dean, I will give you the pleasure of talking about your Bills.
First of all, you got to see on primetime the second best team in the AFC, and of course, one of the premier teams in the NFL beat the team that is one of the more overrated teams. The team that we saw last week break down, they broke down again on primetime. For Buffalo, this was, in my opinion, their best defensive game. They may have sacked Big Ben once, but they got to Big Ben. They stuffed the run. Steelers receivers couldn't catch. 2 picks. In the first half, the offense started slow. I was really concerned with that. But the pick 6 from Taron Johnson before halftime really changed the pace of that game. Once the pick 6 happened, it just felt like it was all Buffalo. Stephon Diggs took over the game. Josh Allen took over the game. I was really proud of the showing by the Bills, and I think last night they showed that they're a legit team and they could do it on prime time.
Yeah, that you made all good points, Dean, and I do agree with you that they're now the second best team in the conference. I think you got Kansas City as, on this level, and everybody else is a couple notches at least below that. But they proved they're better than Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh proved officially that they are 11-2, but they're a fraud.
Yeah.
They can't run the football. That was their biggest issue pretty much all season. It reared its ugly head yesterday. They've been severely impacted by injuries, Bud Dupree being the latest one. Last week, that really sucked. He's out for the year. This is just not a very good team, and they're increasingly reliant on Ben Roethlisberger, and he just doesn't have it at this point in his career at 38 or 39 years old to get it done every single week, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like, he just can't do it consistently. And the receiving core isn't as good as I think many people had rated them earlier in the season. Obviously, Deontay Johnson's been the butt of jokes recently with the drop passes, but it's really all around this roster. They're just not good enough. And despite Mike Tomlin, he's a great coach. They're a great organization. It's a lot to overcome when this roster just isn't good enough right now. And so they'll probably win a playoff game, and that'll be it. And Buffalo has a real shot of going to the AFC title game where their season will be ended in Kansas City against the Chiefs at Arrowhead. So, good win for the Bills. It's unfortunate, though, that they have a ceiling, and I think they don't really have a way to surpass that. They could probably win a playoff game, maybe 2, but that's about it.
Yeah, I got to.
No, go ahead. You go, Dan.
I got to agree with what most of you said. I don't necessarily think Pittsburgh is completely out of it. Like you said, Mike Tomlin's a good coach. Last year, he found a way to almost sneak into the playoffs with no quarterback. But and he's got Big Ben.
Duck Hodges is the man.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Right.
You also said that Carson Wentz is the man.
Well,
True that, Aidan. True that.
We'll get to that later.
Back to my point. Mike Tomlin's a good coach. He always finds ways. Obviously, Bud Dupree killing them. Bud Dupree being out for the year, he's killing them. He was having a defensive player of the year kind of season. Hopefully they give him a contract extension because he's one hell of a player, and I actually really like him a lot. So for that reason. But the Bills, they definitely did show up. I'm still not 100%. Do I think they're going to win a playoff game? Yes. I don't know necessarily if they're going to make it as far as the AFC Championship game. The Bills have been very good, but they've had plenty of games this year where they've looked a little bit exposed. The game against the Chiefs, they gave up over 200 yards rushing. That really explodes them. And I still can't forget it. The Jets, they were it was a competitive game in the fourth quarter on the final drive against the Jets. So that if you're a contender, that can't be happening.
I'm just I do want to disagree with you guys a little bit. I do not think the Steelers are the best team in the AFC. But I do think that they are going to be the team to beat in the AFC. And I think that is going to happen because I don't think the Chiefs are going to get the number 1 seed. I do think the Steelers are going to end up with it.
What?
Yeah.
How?
The Saints beat them next week, and then Steelers went out. And I just think it's going to happen. But because the Steelers haven't beat on conference record since the Steelers. Oh no, they'd be tied, I guess, at this point. But we'll figure that out later. I just think that the Steelers' defense is too good. Is going to be too good if you're playing against a team like the Chiefs. The Chiefs' offense is far better. That is true. But when the Steelers' offense clicks, which it has multiple times this season, it is one of the deadliest units in the league. And sure, there have been times where it's fallen apart, where the receivers can't seem to catch anything. But I just think I'd be so afraid of that defense that I'm not really worried about how well the offense is going to play. And we've seen the Chiefs play some games that they really should have lost. They have not played like the dominant team they were last year. They realistically should have lost to the Raiders again. They should have lost to the Panthers earlier this season. There were a couple other games, the Chargers. The Chiefs are not playing like an 11-1 football team right now. And they played okay against the Dolphins in the second half, but even then they were up 30-10 and almost lost the game. So that's just my feeling on it.
So let me throw this point at you, Aidan. I agree with you that the Kansas City Chiefs, for the last, let's say, month, and even in various games prior to that, they weren't really playing at an elite level that an 11-1 football team should be playing at. Or no, they're 12-1 now, 12-1 football team.
Sorry, my bad.
But let me throw this at you though. We saw what they did last year through the whole regular season and in the postseason. This level that they're playing at right now is nowhere near their ceiling. So if they can just get to that point by the end of the season, and I think by all accounts, we all think that they probably will. There's no reason why if they have the home playoff games, they're probably going to get the 1 seed. I can't see Pittsburgh getting that seed. I think they're going to lose at least one more time, Pittsburgh. So I think Kansas City is going to have that bye. I really don't foresee a way where anybody's coming into Arrowhead and beating them just because they have so much of a higher level they can actually get to. And I understand they haven't played great, but there are levels to this, right? And we understand that Kansas City at any moment could go score 50 or 60 on you, and nobody else in the conference can do that. Now, you want to power rank the teams like based on where you think Buffalo is and what you think Pittsburgh is and Tennessee and Indianapolis and all these teams. You can go ahead and rank them. But I think what's clear is that Kansas City is the number 1 team in the conference. And if anybody beats them, like I don't even know, I'm not even talking about an AFC team. If anybody beats them, I think it would have to be considered a major upset. I mean, I think Dean kind of agrees. I agree. With that. I could see the way he was
in Arrowhead. I agree. But at Heinz Field, I would take the Steelers any day of the week.
Wow. All right.
Or even over the Chiefs.
Interesting.
You guys want to move on to another game? Actually, no. Let's talk about the Chiefs Dolphins real quick while we're at it.
Yeah, I'll start with this one. So this game very surprised me. The Dolphins, even though they lost this game, they kind of proved to me, even in defeat, they kind of showed they're for real. You can honestly say they're the first team in probably over a year that made Patrick Mahomes look human. So
his first ever 3 interception game. Patrick Mahomes actually entering this week. Patrick Mahomes had thrown 2 interceptions all season, and he threw 3 against the Dolphins.
Yeah, no, and I'm going to say this now. They as of this moment, I don't know what's going to happen, but as of this moment, that game cost Patrick Mahomes the MVP title. I think.
Oh no, it did not.
No, not.
Right now, I disagree. Aaron Rodgers is MVP. Right now,
no way. Aaron Rodgers has had an okay season. It has been nothing spectacular. Aaron Rodgers has not
4 interceptions and 70% completion percentage with a 1.
Aaron Rodgers has not had an MVP moment. Patrick Mahomes has had many, and he's had 1 or 2 bad plays, but that does not take him out of the MVP conversation at all.
I didn't say he's not in the MVP conversation. I just said he's number 2 now.
Mahomes started this game terribly. That first quarter especially was awful for him. But then he went out and showed, listen, I'm still the best quarterback in the NFL by a long shot. And he went out and scored 30 unanswered points. Well, technically 28 unanswered points on the Dolphins. And then that offense slowed down a little bit when the Dolphins defense kicked into gear. And I think that actually shows a lot about the Dolphins defense, that they can make the MVP look human.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
I think Aaron Rodgers is in first place in MVP right now. That's
no way.
No way.
And you know how much I love Aaron Rodgers. No
His
way.
stats are off the charts.
And so is Mahomes's.
So are Derrick Henry's. I would take Derrick Henry before Aaron Rodgers, and I'm not apologizing for that statement.
Well, you'd name Taysom Hill MVP, so let's not listen.
Yes, I would, but that's a different story.
No, Jack, come on. Like, let me tell you this. And Mahomes has been great this year, and Rodgers has been great this year. They're 12-1. I mean, typically the way that this works in sports, that the best player on the best team gets MVP. We've seen it years and years and years.
As of right now, I mean, they're not the best, but the Packers are the best team in the NFC.
Yeah, but the Chiefs are the best team in the league, and they're 12-1.
I still don't think the Packers are the best team in the NFC.
Neither do I. Neither do I.
As of right now,
I don't even think they're second best.
I don't know. As of right now, I'd give it to Rodgers.
Let me go on my weekly
39. One more interception. Higher completion percentage. That's all.
Let me go on my weekly Tua rant. So I actually think this is one of the most impressive losses any team has suffered all season. The way that they were able to fight back in this game and make Mahomes look human. I mean, they won the turnover battle 4-1. Nobody turns the ball over 4 times when you're playing when you're facing Kansas City. That doesn't happen. Mahomes doesn't throw interceptions. They don't fumble. They don't make boneheaded plays. It just doesn't happen. They're too buttoned up. They're too smart. They're just too good. So to see what the Dolphins were able to do yesterday, and I understand Tua's completion percentage wasn't great. I think he was like 28 of 48 or something. He still threw for 300 yards. He was still in complete command of that game. And I think this was really the biggest test for him so far. And although they didn't win, he passed it. So go Tua. Good job, Dolphins. Brian Flores, you're amazing. The fact that they were even in this game is really a statement of how good they are.
I agree.
First of all, I want to thank the Chiefs for beating the Dolphins, for widening the gap. Number two, listen, this was an impressive loss for the Dolphins, like you said, Noah. Yeah, Mahomes had a pick. One of those picks came from potential defensive player of the year, Xavier Howard, who's been
one of the best plays of the season, too.
Amazing.
That was an incredible
amazing player. Yeah. He is one of the top corners in the league. This Dolphins team is young and they're hungry. They're going to trend up from here on out. This Dolphins team they lost, but they hung with the Chiefs. They nearly came back. They're a young and hungry team that you could very well bet that they can make the playoffs. Of course, you got the tough competition with the Browns, the Colts, the Raiders, the Ravens, all those teams. But the Dolphins are right there. They are not far off whatsoever, and they are a solid team.
Yeah, I agree. I do think the Dolphins could be scary. Maybe not this year, but in a couple years they will be. The Dolphins-Bills rivalry is going to definitely be interesting to see where it goes, if it's going to become one team versus the other for the next few years, or if it's one team's going to take the dynasty almost.
I think there's a surfer boy with long hair, and he plays in South Carolina. He may have something to say about that rivalry. He may want to throw his hat.
I don't know. One player is not going to fix that team.
I agree.
We'll
see about that.
But let's talk about a player who did fix his team.
Three more, baby.
Jalen Hurts. He hurt me, pun intended. My God, that game was hard to watch as a Saints fan. But I'll get into my discussions about how I felt about the game as a Saints fan. But first, I want to talk about Jalen Hurts. What an impressive rookie debut. Not only was he able to get the win, he was able to put up 100 rushing yards against the Saints, something that has not happened since 2017. No player has put up 100 yards rushing against the Saints since 2017. 2 players did it, including a rookie quarterback making his first start. That is one of the most impressive things I've seen in the NFL this whole season. Noah, as a Carson Wentz defender, do you think that Doug Peterson made the right move by putting in Hurts?
Oh, absolutely he did. And I would have told you that a week ago. I don't remember if we talked about this on the last week's show, but if we did, I was a 100% believer that they should have thrown Jalen Hurts in there. First of all, what they were doing, 2 weeks ago, last week too, a little bit, when they were rotating quarterbacks in and they kept splitting the snaps, and Peterson wasn't really being totally honest about what his plan was with the media. I really didn't agree with that. you've got to either give one quarterback confidence or the other. You can't split it. That doesn't work. It never worked in football. It'll never work. I'll never be a fan of that. So I'm totally with throwing Jalen Hurts into the game, and he played excellent. Now, here's the thing for me. Is that sustainable? No, because he's not like, he's a good runner, but I don't think he's Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray, anything like that. And at this point, he's a better runner than he is a passer, sort of like Taysom Hill, honestly. And I just don't think that's really sustainable in this league. You're going to get hit. I mean, that offensive line we know is awful. At some point, they're going to break down and he's going to get smacked around. So I think that's a big part of this. Can he finish out the season? Maybe go next season and a couple of years with the Eagles? Yeah, absolutely, and they can win games with him. But is he the franchise superstar quarterback that I think many Eagles fans want him to be? I don't think so. I don't think that's even in question right now. As for Wentz, though, we saw all season how badly this team struggled around him. I mean, you mentioned the running game, Aidan, but the offensive line was awful. The weapons were awful. The coaching was awful. Yesterday, though, everyone on that team woke up. The receivers, I mean, Jalen Reagor had maybe his best game. Alshon Jeffrey played well. They ran the ball effectively, and they ran the ball a lot for the first time in a long time. The offensive line was better. Like, they just seemed to find Jalen Hurts, and he was a spark for them. I mean, they seemed to really buy into what he was doing yesterday, and I think that's a great sign for the Eagles. But it does show you that they didn't believe in Carson. At least some of these guys didn't believe in Carson. And it's unfortunate because he's a more talented player than Jalen Hurts is. But
that's true. But also, I mean, Carson Wentz, if Carson Wentz starts this game, the Eagles do not win.
No, they don't win. But if he's somewhere else and someone else will buy into him, like I've talked about Indianapolis before.
I think Indy is the right move for him. I agree with you.
Yeah.
He'll be better.
Dean, what do you think about this whole thing?
First of all, I agree with Carson Wentz to Indianapolis. Indianapolis is one quarterback away, in my opinion, from being a threat. And I think listen, we've bashed Carson Wentz, and I've bashed Carson Wentz. And I still think Jalen Hurts, he did a great job yesterday. He brings the mobility and athleticism to the team that they lack. And he has that stride. He has that poise he had in college that he brings to the Eagles. As for Carson Wentz, I think it's time to move on. I think it's time for the Eagles to move on. But the thing is, who's going to trade for him? And I think the Colts would be a great idea. Like I said, the Colts have a great defensive unit. Jack mentioned if Andrew Luck was on the Colts, had the Colts offensive line.
It makes me
cry.
They
wouldn't
Carson
lose a
Wentz
game.
would have Carson
the
Wentz
Colts would be Super Bowl champions if
line.
Andrew Luck was here.
Oh my God!
Exactly.
With that offensive line, Andrew Luck, he could sit there for 10 years.
They'd be better than Kansas City.
Never forget that connection between Luck and Hilton. That was something special.
It was. You have the Colts offensive line, which would help Wentz.
He made Eric Ebron a pro. I bet if Luck was still there, Eric Ebron would still be there, and he'd be a pro.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, even the receivers, Michael Pittman, who's underrated, T.Y. Hilton, of course. They still, Jonathan Taylor, Marlon Mack, they still have the weapons. I think Carson Wentz going to Indianapolis would be great. And of course, Frank Reich, in my opinion, who's a better coach than Doug Peterson, the real offensive mind.
Yeah.
I think Frank Reich's an offensive genius, and I think he'd do wonders with Carson Wentz.
That GM, Chris Ballard, he's got the trade he made. I thought it was kind of a risk when he traded for Buckner. That trade has made them
amazing.
Top 3 defense.
Yeah.
They focus on stuffing the run, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. 100%. But it really is sad to see. I would love to see Carson Wentz go there. And I'm honestly, I actually want the Eagles to play well over these next couple of weeks because I don't want Doug Peterson getting fired just yet because Joe Douglas comes from Philadelphia. I don't need that. I don't need that. So save your job for one more year, then do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But that's what I'll say about that. I also saw another funny, interesting thing. Someone said, I don't actually believe this. No, you'll laugh at this. I saw a post on Instagram. Someone suggested, should the Jets trade the number 1 overall pick for Carson Wentz to come and play with Doug Peterson in New York?
Oh, my God. Stop. Now, my brother showed me one before. He said,
no.
Should the Jets trade the number 1 pick for Dak and the number 4 pick? And people are literally, are you really kidding me?
They talked about that on Undisputed. Are you on crack?
What are you doing?
You're going to trade for Dak Prescott, who A, has never shown he's the guy. B,
I know.
A horrible injury. And you're going to give all that up for the apparent league's next phenom.
I'd rather shoot myself and see that.
I do want to talk about the Saints. I do want to talk a bit about the Saints in this game too.
Oh yeah, go for it.
If you don't mind, I will start off and then you guys can comment on it. But oh my god, this game was painful to watch. But the three things I want to say about it is, one, definitely if Carson Wentz is playing, the Saints win this game. So kudos to Jalen Hurts for an incredible game. Two, Will Lutz is entirely 100% to blame for this loss. Dean was saying it during the game. I didn't believe him until he missed that second field goal. Will Lutz missed 2 field goals, the second of which would have put the Saints within 7. And then the Saints got the ball back, scored a touchdown on the next drive. Wasn't good enough. But the big thing, the turning point in this game, I'm not gonna go all hissy fit and say the refs screwed us yet again. I'm not gonna be that Saints fan. But
that's only the
Saints rewatch that onside kick and tell me that the Saints did not recover it.
Come on, you can't. Who knows who has the ball?
Very clear that Craig Robertson gets that ball when the pile goes down, and then an Eagle comes up with it. But because we saw Craig Robertson with it when the pile went down, that should have been called a Saints ball. That should have been reviewed. I was mad about that, but I don't want to use that as an excuse for why the Saints lost. That was just the nail in the coffin. Had that play gone the other way, gone the correct way, the Saints would have had a chance to win it. But with the way Will Lutz played, we might have even missed a game-tying field goal. So who knows? But in terms of the rest of the game, I
know what you're gonna say.
First off,
the defense didn't look good in the first half, and again, the big play was that 76-yard touchdown run by Miles Sanders. Another major problem that you can't let up and expect to win games when you play like that. And I know you guys are all going to go out and attack Taysom Hill for not being the franchise guy and not being the guy to save this team once Breeze leaves. But I disagree. I still watched that game, and sure, he had a rough first half, but he addressed the problems and came back and had a fantastic second half. Almost led the team to a win. They were down 17-0 at the half, came back to 27-24. That is a great job by a guy who doesn't really have a lot of experience playing. So I think that this loss, more than any other game that the Saints have played, shows why Taysom Hill is a good quarterback.
Aidan, just first off, just 2 questions. One, what's your record? What's your team's record?
10-2.
And are you guys in the playoffs?
Oh wait, sorry, 10-3.
And are you guys in the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, listen to that. Stop complaining, okay?
Yeah,
but
you don't dare complain about your freaking kicker when we have the Ficken and Castillo duo connection.
But here's
relax
the
about the kicker. You don't have Dan Bailey either.
The last chance for the next probably 4 or 5 years.
Some of us don't know what a win feels like, okay?
This is the last chance for the Saints to actually do something for a long time, because this is probably Breeze's last season.
You don't believe in Taysom Hill?
Or his second to last season. Well, no, I do believe in Taysom Hill, but the problem is the Saints are going to be like $100 million over the cap next year. So who are you going to keep? You're not going to be keeping every single star on that team.
Yeah,
you're going to be trading a lot of big names, especially on the defense.
Yeah.
There's no way the Saints can keep this roster elite in the future. And once Drew Brees, at the end of this season, I firmly believe that the Saints will absolutely collapse for a couple of seasons before being able to rebuild with a younger core, especially on the defense.
Bro, we got a nice young quarterback. Didn't you see he looked great yesterday?
I would love to have Sam Darnold on the Saints.
I'd love to have Sean Payton on the Jets.
Yeah.
You could have had Bill Belichick if you didn't drive him away.
No, that was the Johnson brothers' fault because he wasn't comfortable with ownership once.
All right. I'll let you guys say your piece about the Saints, and then let's move on.
Yeah, But speaking the Saints, yesterday was a bad game for them. It was hard. I want to say it was probably hard for them to prepare. There's not much tape on Jalen Hurts, so they couldn't really go in with a strong game plan on the defensive side of the ball. Taysom Hill did struggle a little bit yesterday, and clearly you see a difference. You kind of see why he's not a quarterback. You can honestly see, like, I compare him to Tim Tebow. You see the same reasons why people don't, like, to me at least, the reasons why people didn't believe in Tim Tebow to be a legit NFL quarterback, I partly see in Taysom Hill. He's that kind of guy. there's nothing wrong with that. That kind of player works in the NFL, but it's not meant to be an every down situation. But if Drew Brees, they hope he can come back this week. Am I correct on that?
The hope is that he can come back this week, but they have said that they don't want to rush him back. So it is not a guarantee right now.
I would bet he doesn't play. That would be my prediction.
I would also agree.
Is this their matchup with Kansas City this week?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great game.
Yeah. I feel like he's going to come back for that game. I don't know why. And I feel like it'd just be so disappointing if he didn't.
Well, Aidan, what are they right now? The 2nd seed?
Yeah, the Packers.
The Packers. So yeah, because the Saints lost and the Packers won, that bumped the Packers up to the 1 seed by tiebreaker. If the Saints win out, I have a hard time believing that they wouldn't get the 1 seed.
Led by future 3-time NFL MVP Aaron Rodgers.
But it's going to be difficult if we lose against the Chiefs, which I think we were going to do. And we have the Chiefs, then the Vikings, who are our kryptonite, and then the Panthers, who always give me a scare. So I wouldn't be surprised if we lose the last 3 games of the season, honestly.
Right. Yeah, so honestly, I wouldn't predict them to get the 1 seed either. And I do think they're the best team in the conference.
I don't know. You guys are disrespecting Green Bay this year. I don't
think they're for real.
I don't know if they're Super Bowl contenders, but
I don't know if I could trust
Green
them.
Bay is better than they're definitely better than they were last year.
They've taken care of business this year, and you cannot say they haven't.
They're better than last year.
It's not the Saints to me. There's only one other real team that has a shot in the NFC, and it's the Rams.
Yeah,
that's it.
I actually agree.
I do like the Rams. But
Rams are awesome.
I think the Packers. I don't know if they're making the Super Bowl, but I do think they're making the conference championship.
When their offense is on, the Rams are good because the Rams already have a very outstanding defense.
Yeah, you know why, right?
Yes, we get it. Jordan Fuller.
Exactly.
But they also have Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald, who are premier players.
Please.
Back to the Saints. Aidan. I mean, listen, the run, they struggled with stopping the run. Miles Sanders had a day. I mean, listen, we said, me and Jack said on our live, this was an Eagles team that has always been a run-first team from the Super Bowl. Now, they used the Miles Sanders. They used the mobility of Jalen Hurts. And I just feel like the Saints did not have an answer for that.
The Saints didn't have the answer, yeah.
Dougie P, figure it out because I don't want you as my next coach. So let's get it together.
Will Lutz missed 2 field goals. Taysom Hill, he adjusted in the second half, and then the strip sack, which in my opinion was the icing on the cake.
The strip sack too was, I mean, why go 5 wide on a 4th down?
Yeah.
When you have a running like a run first offense right now, basically.
You should do what we do on 4th downs.
I mean,
just punt it.
I think the Saints
punt it from the 5.
That on our 4th and 1, go no receiver set. Everybody stacked in the box with no fullback.
Frank Gore time.
38-year-old Frank Gore, right up the middle.
So, Aidan, were you shocked yesterday that they didn't bring Jameson at halftime? Because I was very surprised.
No, not at all.
I actually wanted Winston in.
I thought he deserved to play.
I don't think it makes sense to put Jameson, just because Taysom's not doing amazing. I just think you're not really seeing what you can get if you don't actually play him and actually put him in this situation. Although I will say one thing that I do think is hurting the Saints by having Taysom start at quarterback is how valuable Taysom Hill is at every other position. Yeah. You lose that by
part of the reason why I thought he's not a quarterback. He's better at other things.
Well, I don't think he's necessarily better, but being able to put him in, having Jameis Winston at quarterback and being able to put Taysom Hill in at receiver, at tight end, or at running back, or at quarterback, or on the punt team, that adds a lot of versatility to your team. But all right, let's move on. Let's move on to baseball. So it was recently announced that the team that is currently known as the Cleveland Indians will finally be changing their name. They originally said that the name would be adopted as soon as this week. They have not announced the name yet, but have recently gone back on that statement and said it will be created this week, but they won't adopt it until after the 2021 season, which is an interesting move. So what are we thinking about the decision to delay? And then I have another question when we're done.
I'm surprised they actually did this. And to be honest, I think it's a good move. I'm surprised other franchises haven't done it yet. Like I'm surprised the Braves haven't changed their name. Like just another example, like the Chiefs, they haven't changed their name. Those are just two examples. I'm surprised the Indians. This is a good move. They're not going to get any negative publicity for doing this. I'm sure probably some of their sponsors probably said something because money's the only reason to do anything like this. So
Honestly, yeah.
I'm sure somebody spoke up and said something about that. But it can't really hurt to do it. It's not going to hurt anything. Cleveland, it would, and that's what I think they are in need, especially like they're going to have to cut costs. Like they're going to trade their franchise guy this offseason, or he's going to leave next season. It could be nice to kind of have a rebrand, start over. So that's not necessarily the worst thing. One name I hope, I don't know, one name they should try. If I were them, I would try to do something like the Cleveland, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's there, maybe like the Cleveland Rockers or something like that. I don't know.
I mean,
I know Noah wants the Cleveland LeBron Jameses, but I don't think that's going to
I most certainly do not want that.
Really?
I mean,
I don't know.
He wants him to move to Los Angeles and be the Los Angeles.
No. I got it. He wants the Cleveland Goats for Goat James.
The Cleveland
What were you
Jenny.
saying?
I was gonna say, Cleveland could take notes from Washington and become the Cleveland Baseball Club, the CBC.
That doesn't have a bad ring.
Hey,
I don't know. I'm a
CBC is
fan of the
very
Cleveland baseball
catchy.
team.
I like Cleveland Baseball Organization.
The Cleveland. I mean, listen. The news came out of nowhere. I did not expect. I'm pretty sure neither of us expected Cleveland to come out with this news. I think before the 2020 season, correct me if I'm mistaken, 2021 season, they'll be doing uniform changes, name changes. They're going to be going through a complete rebrand, which would be
well, Dean, I can tell you that a couple of years ago, maybe this was 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, something like that. They got rid of, on their uniforms and whatnot, Chief Wahoo, which was the little Indian head sort of thing that they used to have, Native American sort of symbol. Yep. And that was what they had on their hats and jersey. You'd see that everywhere. And they stopped using that Chief
Which
Wahoo.
was a big step. Like it was a good step, but it wasn't enough.
And so they started going with the C. That's like been on their uniforms and hats recently, the C.
Yeah.
So that's really what they've moved towards. But I guess this is just the next step and just completely eliminating any sort of past history with that.
Yeah,
but I do want to know,
guys.
Sorry. What? Go for it.
Of course, we saw the Washington, now the Indians. I should excuse my language because they're going to change the name. Do we see a consistent trend with teams, similar to that name? Because we've already seen it twice in 2020. Do we see a third one soon? Do we, teams like the Blackhawks or, does this trend continue?
It's a matter of what the sponsors say. It's about money.
I think the Indians and the Redskins were the two most egregious examples of it. I mean, like those are, slurs for Native Americans, essentially. Blackhawks, Braves, and Chiefs are probably the other three right now. They're all questionable, but they are not at all to the same level, I think, as Washington or Cleveland.
Yeah, and I can say too, Aidan, my high school that I graduated from a couple years ago, we were the Indians when I was there, and they just changed it like 6 months ago or so. Like in the beginning of the summertime, they announced to change it. And so they don't have a name yet. So it's just the high school's name. There's no logo yet, but they'll have something. And I forget who, maybe it was Dean who said, or maybe it was Jack who said there won't be a lot of pushback. And I can tell you that in our community, there's been a lot of pushback.
There will be pushback.
Yeah, there was rallies and people chanting, and it was sort of a whole movement in our town, the people that wanted to keep the name as opposed to change it. And it was sort of a divisive issue around here for quite a while, and still is sort of a divisive issue. So I think this is such a new thing that we haven't really heard the people who are against it in Cleveland, but there's going to be a lot of people. And, I understand it's, we're in this new era of political correctness and whatnot, and it's just time to do these things. And, whether you're a fan of it or not, you just have to kind of go ahead and live with it. But I can tell you that there's going to be a lot of pushback just because there's some people that want to keep this name and think that it's been tradition for X amount of years and that we've got to keep going with it. But, I think a lot of these leagues are coming to the realization that you just can't. It's just not the time anymore for that.
So what I want to know is, Jack, you said the Cleveland Baseball Organization.
I said that. That's what I want.
Sorry, Cleveland Baseball Club.
I said
CBC.
Rockers, CBC. What do we think? What do we think the Cleveland team is going to change their name to in the long term? So no Cleveland Baseball something.
Cleveland
an actual
Rockers.
name.
Cleveland
the Rockers for Jack.
Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's in Cleveland. Perfect example.
I like that. my personal pick is paying homage to the greatest baseball team of all time and make them the Cleveland Spiders.
That's what
I
I
don't
want.
think you can beat
Yep,
that.
I'm with you, Aidan.
I
Absolutely.
like that.
People love the Spiders, and it would remind people of the 20s, the good 20s. Dean, what about you?
And that's in Virginia. I was gonna say because Richmond is the Spiders, but they're in Virginia, not Ohio.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe
Richmond.
there's a correlation there, but there's not.
Aidan, you convinced me. That's all I'm gonna say. I mean, I like Cleveland Rockers, but that's Cleveland Spiders actually has also like a nice.
Go for something new. I don't know.
How about Cleveland Rock Stars, Jack? I feel like that's cooler. Than
The Rockers sounds kind of weird, but I do like the idea of incorporating some sort of music.
Something with the Rock and
aspect.
Roll Hall of Fame. That's like the biggest. That's I think to me when you think of Cleveland, that's the first thing you think of.
Rock.
I think of LeBron James. Sorry.
I think of the Spiders.
I mean, listen, we've had teams like music names like the St. Louis Blues.
about the city.
We can influence that with the city of Cleveland because they're a huge rock city.
How about something? Because with the Browns we say dog pound. Like
I was going to say like the Bulldogs.
How about something relating to dogs, bulldog, something to that effect? I like that too.
The Cleveland Bulldogs could work. I have a friend who said
underdogs because they only won one title in 50 years. Like,
I have a friend who said the Cleveland Guardians is apparently one of the more common ones coming up right now.
No, the XFL New York Guardians. That's taken.
All right. So let's move into our last topic. ESPN's NBA Top 100 Players list has come out recently. And as always, it's a little bit controversial.
A little bit.
Very controversial.
Personally, I am livid that my guy is ranked so low. 54? Really? He should be number 2, just like that jersey says. Right behind his brother LiAngelo. But Noah, what do you think?
Well, first of all, let's just be honest and
not about Lonzo, just about the list.
It's clickbait. I mean, that's what it's been for years.
Yeah.
I don't remember why I know this, but this was a couple years ago. And Carmelo was, I think this was the year he was in Oklahoma City, right after.
Lonzo's rookie year, he was ranked higher.
He was like 70th and Lonzo was like 65th. It's just ridiculous. Everybody knows that there are certain players that are better than other players, and ESPN just wants to project or have a hot take or be talked about on national television, whatever it is, and they're going to make this list insane. So I have someone
doing exactly what we want them to do.
This year is ridiculous.
Yeah.
This year is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous every year. So I'm on the list right now and I'm looking at it, and some of the first few make sense.
The top 10, I think the top 10 is pretty solid, and I'll read it for our viewers real quick. We got LeBron, Anthony Davis, Giannis, Luka, Kawhi, KD, Damian Lillard, Steph, James Harden, and Nikola Jokic. Is it Jokic? Jokic.
Nikola Jokic.
I have a hard time pronouncing that.
I'd
say that's a pretty solid top 10.
Yeah, I agree with you. My only complaint with that, I don't agree with putting Kevin Durant there right now because you don't know what he's going to be. That's just my opinion. You don't know if he's going to be the same. That's all. My only problem with the top 10.
But it definitely starts to fall apart after that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm just looking at it right now, and there some egregious examples for me is, here we go. Kemba Walker is lower than Karis LeVert, Fred VanVleet, his teammate Marcus Smart, which is just insane to me. I mean, there are others. Here we go.
One of the ones that I think is the
Blake
most
Griffin's
ridiculous.
lower than is lower than Christian Wood. I mean, are you serious?
I think it's ridiculous
Russell Westbrook is 36.
Yeah, exactly.
Zion is 19. The rookie of the year, John Morant, is 31. And I think that's kind of ridiculous.
I mean, some of these are just insane. I mean, I'm not going to go through all 100 guys and tell you this should be over this person, but let's just be honest. It's clickbait, right? And we're just going to talk about it and just say what we think of it, but it's dumb.
Yeah.
It's smart for people to talk about. It's a good marketing play. I'll say that. But other than
what
that,
are your thoughts?
Pretty bad list.
What are your thoughts though on no rookies? Not a single rookie on the list.
That makes sense. This is not a great class.
This rookie class didn't have anybody that jumped off the page that makes you go crazy.
Yeah, absolutely. Jack's right.
I agree.
So what about some snubs? Who do you guys have as the biggest snub?
Is Carmelo on this list? I don't think he is.
Carmelo is not.
Yeah, I thought about him first because I talked about him before, but to think that we got Patrick Beverly, number 90.
Where's Lou Will?
And
Curry,
Otto Porter is 98, and we got
Curry
like
Seth Curry over Otto Porter.
Where's Lou Williams?
I thought I saw Lou Will on here. Is he not?
They're also missing JJ Redick.
KCP over Dennis Schroeder.
Yeah, that's a joke.
They also got J.J. Redick off the list, Andre Drummond, Derrick Rose, Rajon Rondo, Alex
Louisville's not on the list.
Caruso.
Did Kelly Oubre get on here?
Kelly Oubre's not on the list either.
Is Andrew Wiggins on here? I thought I saw him.
Wiggins is also not on it.
Oh my God.
I thought I saw Louisville too, but Louisville's not on the
Millsap.
list.
Think about this.
And
one with
yet you're
Draymond
putting
Green.
in like 55-year-old Marc Gasol,
Like Josh
Who's-
Richardson, that's a joke.
who's like the backup on the Lakers, is going to get 5 minutes a
Well,
game
he'll
this year.
start, but he's not going to play him on.
DeAndre Ayton might be an all-star this year, and you got guys like Tyler Hero, who looks like a future superstar, and those are below Draymond Green. Draymond Green averaged like 7 points last year on a team that was awful.
Buddy Hield is good. He's
come on.
good.
It's
But is he
insane,
the
some of these.
87th best player in the league? Is he better than Patrick Beverly or Ricky Rubio even? Like, probably not.
I think the most egregious one to me, actually, now I'm looking at this at the end. How the hell is DeMar DeRozan number 82? The guy's a top 30 player.
I agree.
Yeah. He got
82? The guy's
Got
a
hosed.
perennial all-star. It's just ridiculous, this list.
Bro, and Nick actually made it this year. That's controversial.
Nick?
who?
A New York
Nick
Knicks
Robinson.
Was it
player. Mr.
was
Robinson,
it Randall?
number 91.
Oh. No, Randall
Mitchell
didn't?
Robinson.
I guess Randall didn't. Yeah. So one NBA thing that I want to talk about before we end the show today, we have to talk about this. We haven't talked about it yet. Is the big contract that your team signed, Dean? What'd you think of that?
Listen, I went on live and I don't like the Paul George contract, but I was convinced by a few significant others. You may disagree with it, and that's okay. That's fine. But although I don't like the contract, I've always got a lot of maybe Paul George can bounce back. But I said he's pandemic Pete. Maybe after being checked out physically and mentally, maybe the Clippers could have a bounce back year. Maybe Paul George could play better. But then at the same time, I'm thinking, if Paul George does not step up this year or play better, that contract's going to look horrible on the Clippers' part. So this year, I think, is a huge make or break for Paul George, a critical year for Paul George.
Yeah, no, this is the absolute.
I'm not going to
Paul
fault him.
George's reputation is on the line here.
Yeah, as a fan of a team, you can't throw your player under the bus. You can't say it's over. You can't call it quits. I'll give him a chance, but just know that for him, it's hit or miss. You got to step up this year.
I actually disagree with you guys on the tradable part of it. I think that contract is actually tradable. At first, I didn't think so, and then I thought about it some more. And if you could trade Blake Griffin's contract a few years ago with the Clippers, and then you can trade this deal. If you can trade John Wall for Russell Westbrook, you can trade this deal. And honestly, because you have Kawhi Leonard, you just need another star, and it doesn't really matter who it is. You can talk about the fit or whatever, but if you can find some disgruntled star somewhere that wants out of his situation and he's on a big contract and you offer Paul George if it doesn't, work out this year or something, that might happen. And you can put together a new duo and just kind of start over with Kawhi and some other star. So
Paul George for James
you can still win a championship. You have Kawhi Leonard, and if you put
Yes.
any sort of talent around him, you have a shot. So I actually don't think it's that big of a deal. He has to play well, obviously, to deserve it. But if it doesn't really work out, there's always a chance that you can move it for some other big name player that you can pair with.
Yeah, I told you the other day. No, I was like, wait a minute. Didn't the Clippers sign Blake to a max and they traded him to Detroit? So, if they could trade, like you said, Blake to Detroit, then I'm pretty sure a Paul George move can happen, especially for a player that, is top 15, top 20.
Yeah. And I would bet, guys, that, and I know Paul's talked about, I want to be a Clipper for life.
He's
I
also
would
said
bet
that about 3 other
He's always
teams.
said that.
Well,
Yeah.
I would bet to you that Paul George is a Clipper for, I would say, probably 2 years. That I think that I'd put a timestamp on it right there. That's probably about as far as I'd go.
I
All
agree.
right. Let's move into winners and losers. I honestly cannot remember who is who this week.
Aiden, I think
So,
you and I are winners.
We're winners. All right. So Noah, or actually, no, Jack, give us your winner.
Yeah, I'll go first. I'm going to say my winner is the New York Mets and the New York Mets fans. First off, New York Mets, they made a very good, to me at least, they made the first big move of this offseason. They think they got their catcher, James McCann, 4 years, $40 million. In years past, the Mets, after getting the qualifying offer to Stroman, giving the qualifying offer to Stroman, signing Trevor May. Now getting just that alone, Stroman and Trevor May. The offseason will be it. We just added James McCann, and people are still talking like we're just getting started. So we still got an exciting offseason ahead of us. And the Mets also just got their new GM, who apparently a lot of people sound very happy with, and they think he could be a superstar in terms of front office personnel for the future.
Yeah, I listened to his press conference earlier today, Jack. I don't know if you heard it, but
I didn't listen to it. I'm going to listen to it tonight. I've been doing work all day though.
Yeah, he was actually terrific. And I think one of the things that
he has the exact same vision.
Yeah, I think that one of the things that Mets fans were always annoyed about with Brody was that he always seemed like a salesman. I saw a tweet about it, and I totally agree. He was always trying to prove to us why he was so brilliant and smart. This guy just talks the talk and walks the walk. He knows baseball. He's a personnel guy. He understands this whole business better than Brody ever could have imagined it.
Yeah, this guy's not a guy like Brody who just walked in here and got the job. This guy's been in baseball. He's paid his dues, and it's time for him to get rocking and rolling. This is the first time in freaking 20 years the Mets have a GM who I feel, besides with the exception of Allison, I think is actually going to get to do their job. Yeah. It's not going to be forced to do everything by Jeff Wilpon.
Noah, who's your loser?
I think my loser would be Auburn football. Maybe I took Dean's loser. I'm not sure, but
no, you didn't.
Okay, good. I didn't want to. Yeah, Auburn football. They fired Gus Malzahn this weekend. He's been there for like 8 years. They had a lot of early success. National championship. They were in that game against Florida State back against Jameis Winston, and it was going really well for Gus after Gene Chizik was there. And after maybe 2-3 years, it all started to go a little bit downhill. They did have their moments. They had the kick six game against Alabama. They brought in Bo Nix last year. He's a star quarterback. So they've had their moments.
Last year.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Not Alabama. Auburn. My bad. My bad. Yeah, they brought him into Auburn last year. He's been great. And so they've had their moments, but it hasn't been consistent, and they haven't been able to be in that top tier of SEC teams. And so now they're going to move on, find a new coach. And you hope it's a new era for that school because they really need it. They need to catch up to what Bama and Florida and some of the other SEC teams are doing.
You know what's the worst part about it, Noah? That his buyout's like $21 million, so they still have to pay him afterwards.
Imagine in a pandemic when everyone's losing jobs and whatever, getting $21 million to sit in your couch and not do anything.
While Gus is on the couch, he'll be getting paid from the school.
It's like Bobby Bonilla.
All right, Dean, who's your loser?
My loser is another SEC team, Florida. Because, first of all, for those who watch the LSU-Florida game, Florida gets a stop on third down, and a moron named Marco Wilson, who is the quarterback of Florida, decides to take a shoe and throw it 40 yards down the field. Unsportsmanlike penalty. LSU takes a field goal and wins the game, and most likely dashes Florida's playoff hopes. As not only Florida lost against a laughable team, they're gonna get beaten up by Alabama, pummeled exactly. So Florida is gonna fall so hard in the rankings.
Seattle, New York, number 2 coming up for them.
Florida. That was just ugly. And Kyle Trask did not perform well, as Mac Jones, I think, is now going to pull away with the Heisman.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I thought Kyle Trask was
over Trevor Lawrence, even over your boy.
This is a one-horse race, and it's being run by Mac Jones.
I could say Zach Wilson, but I'm a nice guy, so Mac Jones.
Lawrence missed too many. He missed the game with
2 games due to COVID.
He would have easily had it.
I agree.
So I think we're down to our 4 teams, right? As long as Clemson beats Notre Dame and Bama wins, I mean, we're pretty much done, I think.
I feel bad for A&M. A&M is...
We are down to our 4 teams, but we could very well see a crazy end to the college football season. I mean, the most likely one is seeing Notre Dame beat Clemson. And then do you think A&M sneaks in at 4?
I'd hate to say that, but probably.
Does Clemson make it as a 2-loss team? Questionable. But the other big one that could happen is, what if miraculously Florida beats Bama? Does Bama drop out?
No.
Even against such a bad team as Florida?
How can you put them out? They've been the best team all season. I don't know.
But even if they lost
wouldn't do
once,
that.
I still think Bama's in. The only one that's really like
I'd throw Ohio State out.
Yeah, I was going to say the only one I think that has the most risk besides Clemson because they're playing Notre Dame is Ohio State. Because if Ohio State loses once, I think they're out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
Ohio State having a chance is still a joke. They've only played in 5 games. They're only gonna.
But 2 of them were not their fault.
I didn't say it was their fault, but still, it's ridiculous.
So real
You're not
quick,
gonna
I just want to give my winner. My winner this week is the Vanderbilt kicker Sarah Fuller, who she's had some struggles in her appearances. She's had some bad kicks, but she also has become the first woman ever to score in a college football game, or in a I guess not. It's not pro. So in a college football game, that is freaking impressive. So if any of you guys out there are for some reason mad that they're allowing women in football, or don't care that this is news, shut up. It is
let's get Carly Lloyd to the Jets.
It is so incredibly difficult even to be a kicker in a college football team with zero stakes. So big shout out to her. Fantastic job. That is all we have for you guys this week. It is a wonderful time as always. We hope to be back next week, or we hope to be back soon. It is holiday season. So we'll see you as soon as we can. But until next time, I am Aidan Shard alongside Dean Gutic, Noah Schwartz, and Jack Acello. See you guys next time.